Have you ever felt like you were different, as if you didn't quite belong in this world? Maybe you've faced struggles that seemed too intense, or you've had an unshakable sense that your life was meant for something more. What if I told you that these weren't coincidences but signs of something greater? Throughout history, certain people have carried 7 hidden marks, proof that they were chosen by God for a higher purpose. And today, we're going to uncover what those marks are. Most people go through life never realizing the truth about their identity. They struggle, searching for purpose, feeling different, never quite fitting in. But what if those very struggles were signs that you were never meant to blend in? The chosen ones don't live easy lives. They go through intense trials, feel an unshakable pull toward truth, and experience a transformation that others can't explain. These hidden marks are not just characteristics, they are proof that you have been set apart. In this video, we're going to uncover all 7 of these powerful signs, from a heart that has been divinely transformed to the ultimate seal that distinguishes the chosen from the rest of the world. And as we go through each one, I want you to pay close attention, because if these marks resonate with you, it might just mean that you are among the chosen. So, if you've ever felt different, if you've ever questioned why your path seems harder than most, if you've ever sensed that your life was meant for something more, then this is for you. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn could change the way you see yourself forever. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button because, trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Now let's get started. 1. A transformed heart. A chosen one is not merely identified by words or outward appearances, but by a profound transformation of the heart. This is not a superficial change. It is a deep internal renewal that alters the very core of a person's being. When God transforms a heart, the desires of the flesh fade and a longing for righteousness takes root. The things that once seemed important, wealth, status, personal ambition, become secondary to eternal values. It's a shift that cannot be faked, because it is not self-imposed. It is a work of divine intervention. Think of Paul on the road to Damascus. One moment he was persecuting believers, convinced of his own righteousness. The next, his heart was completely changed by an encounter with God. His priorities, mission, and very identity shifted in an instant. That's the power of true transformation. It is undeniable and irreversible. The chosen do not merely improve, they become new creations, reflecting God's will in all they do. This transformation manifests in daily life in unexpected ways. A person who once held grudges now finds it impossible to harbor resentment. Someone who chased after material success begins to value generosity and service over personal gain. These changes are not forced but flow naturally from a heart that has been touched by God. When you truly encounter Him, your perspective on everything shifts. Love replaces bitterness, peace replaces anxiety, and faith replaces doubt. However, this change does not mean life becomes easy. In fact, a transformed heart often attracts opposition. Friends may not understand, and the world may resist the new path you walk. But this too is a mark of the chosen, standing firm despite rejection, because the truth within is greater than the acceptance of the world. Transformation is not just about personal salvation, it's about becoming a vessel for God's purpose, impacting those around you in ways you never imagined. And here's the most powerful part. This transformation is ongoing. It doesn't happen overnight and isn't a one-time event. The more one surrenders to God, the deeper the change becomes. The heart of the chosen is constantly being refined, shaped, and prepared for something greater. Could it be that your own transformation is already in motion? 2. Unwavering love for truth. The chosen ones are not swayed by popular opinion or temporary trends. They stand firm in their pursuit of truth. This mark sets them apart in a world that often values comfort over conviction. They do not seek messages that simply make them feel good. Instead, they hunger for real spiritual wisdom, even when it challenges them. While many are drawn to teachings that promise prosperity and ease, the chosen ones recognize that truth is often inconvenient, demanding, and even painful. But they embrace it because they know it leads to genuine transformation. Consider the prophets of old, men and women who stood against deception, even at great personal cost. Jeremiah was ridiculed, Daniel faced a den of lions, and Jesus himself was rejected. Yet they never compromised. The chosen understand that truth is not always welcome, but it is always necessary. They are willing to question, to seek, and to endure discomfort because their commitment is to God, not to human approval. They are not content with half-truths or diluted messages. They crave the fullness of God's revelation. This love for truth is evident in their daily lives. They do not blindly accept what they are told, but test everything against God's word. When faced with moral dilemmas, they choose integrity over convenience. When society pressures them to conform, they remain steadfast in their faith. Their words and actions align, making them trustworthy and unshakable. Even when standing alone, they do not waver because their foundation is built on something eternal. But make no mistake, this path is not easy. The world often rewards those who compromise, and standing for truth can mean losing friends, opportunities, or even personal safety. Yet, the chosen do not fear these losses because they understand that what they gain is far greater. Their eyes are fixed on the eternal, and their hearts are anchored in the unchanging promises of God. They would rather walk alone in truth than be surrounded by crowds in deception. This unwavering love for truth is a fire that burns within them, refining their spirit and setting them apart. It calls them to deeper understanding, greater wisdom, and an unbreakable connection with God. And perhaps if you find yourself questioning, seeking, and refusing to settle for anything less than real truth, you are already walking this path. But the journey doesn't end here. There's more to uncover. 3. Perseverance through trials. Being chosen by God does not mean a life of ease. It often means walking through fire. The path of the chosen is marked by trials, not as punishment, but as preparation. Hardships refine them, stripping away anything that weakens their faith and making them stronger for the mission ahead. Every great figure in Scripture, Job, Joseph, Moses, and even Jesus, endured immense suffering before stepping into their divine purpose. The chosen do not break under pressure. They emerge from it transformed. Think about Job, a man who lost everything, his wealth, his health, his family, yet never turned away from God. Or Daniel, who faced death in a lion's den because he refused to compromise his faith. These stories aren't just ancient history, they are blueprints for the chosen. When trials come, they don't ask, "Why me?" Instead, they ask, "What is God shaping me for?" They understand that suffering is not meaningless. It is a furnace that purifies, a chisel that carves them into the people they are meant to be. In everyday life, this perseverance shows up in countless ways. The chosen face rejection, betrayal, and loss, but they do not crumble. A person who has been through financial ruin learns to trust God as their provider. Someone who has suffered heartbreak discovers the depths of divine love. Each trial deepens their faith, teaching them to rely not on their own strength, but on the power of God. While others give up or turn bitter, the chosen rise stronger, more faithful and more resilient than before. But let's be honest, perseverance is not easy. There are moments of doubt, times when everything feels overwhelming. The difference is that the chosen do not let hardship define them. They let it refine them. Instead of running from struggles, they face them with courage, knowing that God is using every battle to shape them for something greater. They may bend, but they never break. Their faith is tested, but it does not fail. This ability to endure is a signature mark of the chosen. It is what separates those who are called from those who are merely interested. And if you have walked through trials that should have destroyed you but didn't, if you have been broken but not defeated, then you may already bear this mark. 4. Desire for holiness. One of the clearest marks of the chosen is their relentless pursuit of holiness. This isn't about religious perfection or following a strict set of rules. It's about being set apart for God's purpose. The chosen are not satisfied with a life that merely looks good on the outside. They crave a heart that is truly aligned with God's will. Their desire for holiness comes from within, driving them to avoid sin, distractions, and anything that pulls them away from their divine calling. Holiness is not about isolation, it's about transformation. Think of Moses. He was raised in Pharaoh's palace, surrounded by luxury and power, yet he walked away from it all to follow God's plan. Why? Because holiness demands separation from the world's temptations. The chosen do not chase after fleeting pleasures or conform to what is popular. Instead, they seek purity in mind, heart, and actions. They know that to be close to God, they must remove anything that creates distance from Him. This pursuit is evident in their daily lives. While others may compromise for the sake of convenience, the chosen stand firm in their convictions. They guard their words, resist temptation, and surround themselves with people who push them toward righteousness. They are not perfect, but when they stumble, they quickly realign themselves with God's will. Holiness is not about never making mistakes. It's about always returning to the right path. Of course, this pursuit is not easy. The world constantly pulls in the opposite direction, promoting self-indulgence and moral compromise. The chosen feel this tension every day, yet they refuse to conform. They understand that holiness is not restrictive, it is freeing. By choosing God's way, they walk in peace, clarity, and purpose, while others remain lost in confusion and distraction. Holiness is not a burden, it is a privilege, a mark that distinguishes those who are truly set apart. And here's the truth: holiness is not just about what you avoid, but about what you pursue. The chosen don't just reject sin, they actively seek God's presence. They long for deeper intimacy with Him, craving moments of worship, reflection, and connection. If you feel that inner pull towards something higher, a desire to live differently, to be set apart, then you may already bear this mark. 5. A life of powerful prayer. For the chosen, prayer is not just a ritual, it is their lifeline. While many see prayer as a way to ask for blessings, the chosen understand it as something far deeper, a direct connection with God. They do not pray out of habit or obligation, but out of necessity, knowing that without constant communication with Him, they cannot fulfill their purpose. Their prayers are not empty words. They are powerful, faith-filled conversations that align them with God's will. Look at the lives of Daniel, Elijah, and Jesus. They all had one thing in common: an unshakable commitment to prayer. Daniel prayed 3 times a day, even when it meant risking his life. Elijah's prayer brought fire from heaven. Jesus, though fully God, constantly withdrew to pray, showing that even the Son of God needed to stay connected to the Father. The chosen recognize that their strength does not come from themselves, but from the time they spend in the presence of God. This mark of the chosen is evident in their daily habits. They don't just pray when they need something, they pray to align their hearts with God. Their prayers are not selfish, they intercede for others, for their communities, and for the world. They pray in moments of joy and moments of pain, knowing that every prayer moves the hand of God in ways seen and unseen. Their faith is not shaken when prayers go unanswered, because they trust that God's timing is perfect. But let's be real. Maintaining a strong prayer life is not easy. Distractions, busyness, and even doubt can creep in. Yet the chosen push through, refusing to let anything separate them from their divine source of strength. They make prayer a priority, carving out time even when life is chaotic. They know that the more they pray, the more they hear God's voice, and the more they are guided toward their true purpose. A life of powerful prayer is not about perfect words or lengthy speeches. It's about a heart that longs to be near God. It is this deep connection that fuels the chosen, giving them the wisdom, peace, and strength they need. 6. The fruit of the Spirit. One of the most undeniable marks of the chosen is the presence of the fruit of the Spirit in their lives. This isn't something they force or pretend to have. It flows naturally from their connection with God. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control are not just nice traits. They are divine evidence of a transformed life. These qualities separate the chosen from the world, making them a living testimony of God's power. Consider the difference between a tree struggling to produce fruit and one that flourishes effortlessly. A healthy tree doesn't force itself to bear fruit. It happens because it is rooted in good soil, receiving the right nourishment. In the same way, the chosen don't try to act holy. They are naturally changed from within. The deeper their connection with God, the more these spiritual fruits become a part of their character. Their love is unconditional, their peace is unshaken, and their faithfulness is unwavering. This transformation is most evident in how they handle life's challenges. When faced with betrayal, they choose forgiveness. In moments of uncertainty, they remain at peace. When the world tempts them to react in anger, they respond with gentleness. The chosen are not controlled by emotions or circumstances. They operate on a different level, guided by God's Spirit rather than human impulses. They don't just speak about God's love, they embody it. But this doesn't mean they are perfect. Growth takes time, and even the chosen have moments of weakness. The key difference is that they recognize their flaws and allow God to refine them. Instead of excusing their mistakes, they seek to change. They are constantly being shaped, pruned, and strengthened, becoming more and more like Christ. Their lives become a testimony, not because they never fail, but because they continually rise higher. And here's the most powerful truth. The presence of the fruit of the Spirit is what truly distinguishes the chosen from the rest of the world. It is the undeniable mark of God's hand on their lives. 7. The seal of God. The ultimate mark of the chosen is the seal of God, a spiritual distinction that sets them apart from the rest of the world. This seal is not visible to the human eye, but it is unmistakable in the spiritual realm. It signifies divine ownership, protection, and a destiny aligned with God's eternal plan. Those who bear this seal are not just followers of God. They are His chosen, marked for a purpose far greater than themselves. Throughout history, God has placed His seal on His people. In the book of Exodus, the Israelites were marked by the blood of the Lamb, protecting them from destruction. In Revelation, the chosen ones are sealed by God, shielded from the wrath to come. This concept is not symbolic, it is real and powerful. The seal is an unbreakable covenant, a declaration that the chosen belong to Him. It is the confirmation that they have been set apart for something divine. This mark affects every aspect of their lives. It brings divine guidance, leading them even when they don't understand the path ahead. It provides supernatural protection, ensuring that no trial or enemy can destroy them. It gives them spiritual authority, allowing them to walk in confidence, knowing they are backed by the Creator of the universe. The chosen do not fear the future, because they know their destiny is secure in God's hands. However, this seal also makes them targets. Just as a king's seal on a document makes it valuable, the seal of God on a person makes them a threat to darkness. The enemy recognizes those who are chosen and will do everything to shake their faith. This is why the chosen face intense spiritual battles, struggles, and opposition. But here's the truth. No force in hell can break what God has sealed. The chosen may be attacked, but they can never be defeated. And this leads to a crucial question. Do you bear this mark? If you felt different, if you've experienced trials that refined you, if you've hungered for truth, holiness, and a deeper connection with God, then perhaps you've already been sealed. The journey of the chosen is not easy, but it is extraordinary. And now that you know the marks, what will you do with this knowledge? Now that you know the 7 hidden marks of the chosen, it's time to ask yourself, do you recognize these signs in your own life? Have you felt the deep transformation, the unshakable love for truth, the trials that shaped you, or the desire for holiness that sets you apart? These marks are not random. They are evidence that you were never meant to live an ordinary life. You have been chosen, and that comes with a calling far greater than you may realize. But knowing you're chosen, here's just the beginning. The real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you embrace the path laid before you, or will you ignore the signs and continue as if nothing has changed? The chosen don't just know they are different. They step into their purpose, allowing God to shape them, guide them, and use them for something beyond themselves. And if you've recognized these marks in your life, it means you're being called to something greater. This journey isn't easy. In fact, the chosen often face more challenges than most, but they also walk with a strength that the world cannot understand. They endure, they transform, and they leave an impact that lasts far beyond their lifetime. And now it's your turn. Are you ready to embrace who you were created to be? Because the truth is, you were never meant to blend in. Drop a comment below and let me know, how many of these marks do you see in your life? Let's start a conversation, because you are not alone on this journey. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this is just the beginning. There's so much more to discover, and I want to walk this path with you. Until next time, stay strong, stay chosen, and keep seeking the truth.